No question about it, Chris. 1 year ago when Kyle Busch went to victory lane, track position was key. You got to be out front at Kentucky. Our race analysis for tonight: 400 miles, 267 laps, pit road speed, big, 45 miles per hour. You likely will see some green flag pit stops here, and the pit window between 46 and 50 laps. It's been a while, but the Sprint Cup Series ready to go racing in prime time. Under the lights at Kentucky Speedway. The front row: Jimmie Johnson, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick on row 2, Ryan Newman, Clint Bowyer on row 3, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Brad Keselowski on row 4. The fans come to their feet as we go green in the bluegrass. First lap leader, Kyle Busch. He qualified second, but he started on the inside after Jimmie Johnson, the pole sitter, elected to start in the outside lane tonight.
Yeah, Kyle Busch is going to be one of the guys to beat here tonight. I mean, he's got a good feel for this racetrack, obviously knows how to win here. But just watching him in practice, he was nailing those laps. Lap after lap, his car was real consistent.
Yeah, same place on the racetrack. And I don't think that surprises anybody. He led the last cup lap here, and he's led the first cup lap here this year.
And his teammate Denny Hamlin settles into second. Back behind him, there's Brad Keselowski. Those steering wheel problems earlier. He's up in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr., who takes us into turn 1.
Yeah, and you'll watch how these cars move around a lot more than you'll see like at Michigan. Michigan's very, very smooth. This racetrack is bumpy. And the cars, they do a lot of sliding, they do a lot of bouncing around. And as the tires wear, that's going to be an issue when these guys start running side by side, because you get into the situation when you start taking air off the other car, and it gets to be a handful.
Greg Biffle out of line inside of A.J. Allmendinger for position, right behind Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And I'm going to tell you, Junior was another car, just like the 18 car, that just lap after lap after lap. That car never seemed to bobble, never seemed to move around. He just maintained that pace all during practice.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to make it happen inside of Martin Truex Jr. 88 car running 8th, Truex in 9th, Allmendinger the final car inside the top 10. Brad Keselowski on the move early. He's up to 5th in the running order. Brad Keselowski looks good early on track. Marty, what are they saying on the radio?
Well, just to talk about that steering wheel issue, what it turned out to be is that the wrapping around the wheel itself was moving around on the wheel. So I guess A, Wally, good catch by Brad, but B, if he wouldn't have caught it, how much of a handful would that have been all night long?
It would have been bad, Marty. And you know, when you get in the race car and you put your wheel on, the first thing you do is you pull the wheel back towards you to make sure that the wheel clicks on that coupling. And if the wheel's moving like that while you're driving at 190 plus miles per hour, you just can't do it. I mean, your whole feel is in the steering wheel. You're feeling the front tires, the whole car, and the steering wheel. And if that thing's moving around, you don't get a good feel of the race car if your steering wheel's not secure.
Brad Keselowski able to drive around Ryan Newman. So the Blue Deuce up to 4th now. We should remember he's in a backup car. Crashed before even completing a lap in opening practice here yesterday. On board there with Newman, and a top 5 run at Kentucky 1 season ago, and a great qualifying effort here tonight. Kyle Busch has led every lap. First time he's been out front in a month. And here's the start of the race. Jimmie Johnson, the pole sitter, elected the outside lane.
They just jockey in for position. You see the 48 take off first, and then it's almost like he missed a shift because you saw the 29 run up on him really quick, which allowed the 18 to get that really good jump by the time they got to 1.
Dale Jr. continues to move forward, looking inside of Kevin Harvick. Harvick started 4th tonight. Mark Truex Jr. right behind him.
And Junior's car looked like it did at Michigan. I mean, he just rolls through the center, and it's a straight shot up off. He and the 18, just as Wally said at the beginning with the 18, you see Junior straddling that line there, cutting it down to the bottom. These other guys are already moving up the racetrack. But in the heat of the day, when the racetrack was as slickest, he was incredibly consistent.
And you're turning all day long here at this racetrack. I mean, you know, you got the back straightaway, but the car is always in yaw, or it's always in turn here. So if you can get your car to work right through the center of these corners, and it rolls through the center like Kyle said, boy, if you can keep that like that all night long, you're going to be tough to beat.
If the 88 looks like it did at Michigan, that's not good for the competition. Right now, the man in charge at Kentucky, Kyle Busch, picking up right where he left off a year ago. He's led the first 9 laps here this evening.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing from Kentucky, presented by KFC. Come in today and taste why fresh is better. And brought to you in part by Mike's on the Rocks, the perfect pre-party beverage to launch your night. By 5 Hour Energy, hours and hours of energy. By AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Chrysler, imported from Detroit.
Kyle Busch, the man early at Kentucky Speedway. He has led the first 15 laps. That's Denny Hamlin, his teammate, who's digging in and starting to make some things happen right behind him. And as the Joe Gibbs Racing twosome runs away at the front, Jeff Gordon, who started 9th tonight, struggling a bit in the early going. He finds himself right now in the 15th position, Matt.
Adam, he dropped back to 17th. He's picked up 2 spots. Gordon, almost from the onset, he said his car is just pounding the splitter. Track temperature's down dramatically from what it was in practice yesterday. Gordon said, I am plowing, and where he is really losing a lot of time is on entry into 3. Struggles early on for the guy who finished 10th a year ago.
And right now, Matt, he's working over Matt Kenseth. He gets by for the 14th position. Time now for Ram, no guts, no glory. 10 races to go to the chase. There are a number of drivers who need to win, period. On that list, Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, and Jeff Gordon does. And we heard Casey Kane and Countdown the Green say, you know, he thought it was going to take 2 or 3. For Jeff Gordon to get in the chase, he's got to win 20 to 30% of the races coming up to get in the chase. That's 2 to 3, but that's 20 to 30% against guys like Clint, like Carl, like guys like that. Other guys that need those wins. When you start looking at it, he's got to go up against those week in and week out. It's not just go out and win 3 races. It's go out and win 30% of the races.
Kyle Busch in a much better position when you look at the standings, Wally. He has a win. He leads the wild card right now. A victory tonight wouldn't do him any harm.
No, it wouldn't. And let's not forget, these guys have had some issues this year with engine problems. So one or two more of those, and you're going to be digging yourself out of a huge hole. So I think really we've been, you know, hammering it hard tonight. But the wins are, for a lot of these guys, are what's important. You have to start winning races, and I mean, or you're not going to be in the chase.
No, and again, I go back to Casey. Casey said we thought we could get in on points as we see Dale Jr. drive past another car. But as we talk about, you know, Casey said we thought we could get in on points, but we had 1 or 2 bad weeks, and now there's no way we can get in on points. We've got to do it on wins. So each week it takes that next guy and saying it's not going to be points, it's going to be wins.
Yeah, the pressure is definitely on some of these guys.
A.J. Allmendinger would like to make it happen, and he looks good early tonight, Chris.
Yeah, the pressure has been on him for a couple months now. He's looking strong tonight. That car working well. That's the car that he ran at Kansas earlier this year. He got the pole there. He led 44 laps before they had a throttle linkage problem with the 22, and he fell out of contention in that race. But the 22 working very well tonight. He's moved up from 16th to 9th.
Nice little battle in front of him. That's Mark Truex Jr. going around Ryan Newman for 7th on track. Newman coming back on the inside. Little crossover as they go off the corner. Can't make it happen. Settles in line. 20 of 267 laps complete at Kentucky. Kyle Busch with a 0.6 of a second lead over his teammate Denny Hamlin. NASCAR on TNT back at the Kentucky Speedway, and the defending series champion Tony Stewart is off the pace. Started 22nd earlier tonight, was up to 17th in the running order, but now slow 26 laps in. And as he limps back around to pit lane, there's Brad Keselowski continuing to pick him off. He's up to second around Denny Hamlin.
So I'm giving Denny a little wave for giving him a little bit of room right there. And it sounded almost like when we went away from the 14 that he was talking about ignition. So we'll have to keep up on that.
Yep.
Brad got around Denny Hamlin. He's over a second behind the race leader Kyle Busch. Here comes Tony Stewart for his pit stop. Tough early break for the man who's in the top 10 here a year ago, Matt.
And Tony Stewart just told Steve Addington that when he starts to give it throttle, the engine starts to shut off. It's barely idling. They're going to top it off with fuel. They thought it might be possibly something amiss with the ignition, but they're not really sure at this point. Randy Hefner, the engine tuner, he's back over the wall. They're conversing back and forth. All right, they're going to top him off and see if it'll run a lap. If not, they'll bring him right back in. Nope, it's not even going. Not even going. Tough break for the three-time champ.
Tony Stewart does have 2 wins this year, and he's far enough ahead in the points that you think it won't have a major impact there, but you don't need this early in the race. As Ryan Newman and Kevin Harvick go at it.
Ryan Newman struggling a little bit there. But, you know, you kind of see that this time of the race. You're going to see guys that hit it right off the bat, you know, on their setups. And you're going to have some guys that, you know, are going to have to make their cars a little bit better on this first stop.
So Tony Stewart, the man who's behind the 8 ball early. Let's listen to his radio a moment ago.
All right. No, we're not. I don't know what's going on here. Won't go. You ready, guys? You ready?
Yeah, it's hard to tell what, I mean, you know.
No.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's really hard to tell. But you heard him roll out of it, and when he went back to it, it never picked back up. It didn't accelerate as we play other in-cars as the night goes on. You'll be able to hear it. But it never went back. It never picked back up. And like you said, it would idle, but when he goes to give it gas, it just shuts itself off.
Saw Matt Kenseth drive around Paul Menard. Kenseth, the championship leader, and he made the big splash off track this week. The announcement came he will not drive for the Roush Fenway organization in 2013. We'll follow that story throughout the night. Here's Jeff Gordon working over Ryan Newman. The 24 is rallied back and trying to get 11th away.
Yeah, here's a great shot of just how bumpy this racetrack is and how much you can see him pushing his helmet down because his helmet is moving up. I'll tell you, well, by the way I'm looking at this shot, Kyle, and the way his eyes are right now, it looks like his car's a little bit tight in the middle. What do you think? We should probably go to Marty and check on that.
Yes, we should. But I want to show something here. Look at his head down the straightaway. See how he looked up in the mirror? When he gets in the corner, look how he leans his head up against that right side. And it works that helmet. It makes that helmet work.
He's getting thrown over there.
Yeah, he's getting thrown over there. But you see it, and like he's looking, you see his eyes move around. This is a great shot to see where a driver's looking. Even though he's can't see out the left side, but his eyes go out the left side.
And you saw his left arm go out the window. He was actually pointing Jeff Gordon, take down the bottom. And the reason I'm laughing about it looks like it's tight. Marty told us during the break that his car was tight. So just to let everybody in on it.
Here comes Brad Keselowski to the inside of Kyle Busch. This the battle for the race lead. Put the blue deuce on the point at Kentucky. Brad Keselowski led 79 laps here a year ago. That was second to Kyle's 125.
And I don't think anybody on the racetrack has run more laps here this week than Brad.
Yeah.
Because he ran the truck race, he ran the nationwide race, and now he's in this race. We talked about him a little bit in pre-race, just being hydrated and being ready. And obviously when they dropped the green flag, he as a driver was ready and that team was ready.
And Tony Stewart has now gone to the garage, Matt.
They have pushed him behind the wall, Adam. At this juncture, they're going to change the throttle body on the 14 machine. But his chance for a win here at Kentucky, one of only 2 places he's never won, not going to happen tonight.
Log on to NASCAR.com to experience TNT Race Buddy. Presented by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the official beer of NASCAR. Race Buddy has 10 cam reviews, reports from Miss Coors Light, and more. Brad Keselowski, your leader at Kentucky.